welcome to our topic 7, which is topic 8 called unit costing. But before we go into the unit costing, let's try understanding what it is going to be the next flow of the chapters that we'll be doing across. Now, here we are trying to focus on trying to find out a cost of a product, service for different industries. Are you clear? So, we are trying to look into different kinds of industries, different kinds of manufacturing processes. Either it can be for product or it can be for services, but the whole objective is to make sure that we try coming up with something which is going to be more towards identifying the cost of the end product, right? Now, before we go in for a unit costing, we need to understand what is the nature of each of the industries. The first one we call is specific orders. Industries which are informed, which are part of doing specific orders of the customers. For an example, I give this example because I like this particular brand. Raymond showroom building across your suit. When you go to a jewelry shop, get a particular design done, or you go to a designer boutique and get a specific design. Now, what is common in all of this? Or even I can go in with regards to construction of a house. What is something which is common in all of this? Custom made specific product, right? You're getting job done as per your requirement. Then products are tailor made, yes. Then correct. So the nature itself clearly says that for me each order are tailor made, that is I can differentiate between these products are all specifically made. So what advantage I end up getting is that I end up differentiating the cost of one product over the cost of another product, because each of these products have specific items going into it, specific cost going into it. Are you guys clear? Now, especially when there are cases like this, we have three kinds of costing methods what we'll be using. One known as job costing, second one known as contract costing, and the third one called as batch costing. So you have to remember, when are we going to be using all of this? This is again part of your chapter 1. When are we going to be using job costing, contract costing and batch costing? When they are specific orders which can be distinguished from one over another, and it is based on the customer's requirements or specification. Are you clear? Done. Now the next one is, there are certain processes which are on a very continuous basis. Now, for an example, when you see a car manufacturing company, right? What happens in case of a car manufacturing company? What happens in case of a car manufacturing company? Now, if you look into it in case of a car manufacturing company, what generally happens is, there are basically processes which are involved. I'll try showing you guys a video if possible, just one sec. Okay guys, I want you to just see this video right now, not the audio part of it, it's fine. Because there is something which is going to be helpful for me when I'm doing my next topic. Now, if you look into it, what happens over here, forget it. What happens over here is that my product, right, at the end of the day, to become one finished product, it has to go through various processes. That is, see, there is going to be one, I'll share you guys the link of the video once on your WhatsApp group a little later. Now here what happens is, to become one final product, it has to go through different processes, right, and finally it becomes a finished product. Now you can take it in terms of an example of any vehicle manufacturing, painting company, rubber company, chemicals company. These are all very process oriented organizations, and for these kind of companies we'll be using a process costing. Now when I'm trying to do a unit costing, what does unit mean in general? What does a unit mean in general? What does unit mean? One, right? So I can pretty much try looking into it. What am I trying to find under a unit costing is that I am trying to find out the cost per unit manufactured. For every identical unit I am manufacturing, I am trying to find out the cost per unit, right? We generally say in a unit costing, the product what is produced is identical and each product requires an identical cost. What does it mean? That the products whatever you are producing, right, they are all of us very similar nature, and the cost of going into manufacturing each of the product is also very similar in nature. So it's very easy for me. Why? Because all the products are of the same kind. My cost per unit is calculated by taking the total cost divided by the number of units of production. Are you clear? Done. So the formula pretty much stands very simpler. What is it? The total cost divided by the number of. Done. Now when I say a total cost, if you remember your cost sheet properly, we are going to be using cost sheet itself. That is what I am going to take my DMC plus DL plus DE, that becomes my prime cost, plus factory overheads becomes my factory cost, right. From the factory cost I'll add up my selling and distribution, that becomes my total cost, or we say is cost of sales. I'm just ignoring the opening WIP and the closing WIP because yesterday we have done it anyway terms of it. Then I'll add my profit margin and I sell. So this typically is more or less my like my cost sheet only. Are you clear? Is there any doubt? Okay. Now there is something that you need to understand. What happens in case of treatment of losses? See, for an example, remember this, if I am putting 1 unit, right, of input, I expect 1 output. Correct? Generally that's how it is. 1 unit of input should give me 1 unit of output. Yes or no? If 1 kg of raw material is required for 1 unit of production, to produce 100 units, Suresh, how many units of raw material do you require? You require is what? For 100 units, you require 100 kgs, correct? Now, let's say this 100 kgs, so I'll go in a little further down. I used 100 kgs of raw material. I used how many kgs? 100 kgs of raw material. This 100 kgs of raw material my output should be 100 units. Now out of this 100 units, right, what if my output was only 90 units? 100 kg should have given me 100 units of output, but I am getting how many units of output? Only 90 units. Then is there a loss? How many units of loss do I have? I have is a 10 units of loss. Always I need to remember what is the cause of this loss. Is it because of the normal loss or is it because of the abnormal loss? Understood? Right? Now let me start making it 2-3 examples which is going to help me with my further chapters too. So let's try looking into it. 1 kg of input is 10 rupees. 1 kg of input is how much? 10 rupees. To produce 1 unit, you require 2 kgs of raw material. To produce 1 unit, how many kgs of raw material do you require? 2 kgs of raw material. The company used 500 kgs of raw material, 230 kgs of output was achieved. Guys, read this question carefully and let me know, did you understand the entire thing? If you have understood the entire question, I want you to tell me, is there a loss or gain? There is a loss, right? How? See, sorry, you guys want this writing, no? Okay. 1 unit requires 2 kgs. That means with 500 kgs, I should have how many output? 250 units of output. Whereas my output is what? Whereas my output is what? 230. Therefore, I have a loss of 20 units. Did you understand till here? Correct, no? What was my, now see here, I'll do case number 1. 20 units was normal loss. This is my case 1. 20 units was what? Normal loss. How do I treat it? Now, what is my per kg of raw material? Manu, it is 10 rupees. For 500 kgs, how much I should have spent? 5,000 rupees. Okay. Now see here, the cost of 1 unit will be equal to total cost minus scrap value of normal loss. Total cost minus what? Scrap value of the normal loss divided by total output minus normal loss. Total output minus normal loss. Okay, now let's try understanding what is the total cost here. Is there any scrap value given? Is there any scrap value? So I'll write it as 0. What should have been my output? Correct, 250. What is my normal loss? 20. Therefore, it becomes 5000 becomes my cost of 230 units, which will be equal to what? Did you understand this? This is when it is a normal loss. Are you clear? Guys, anyone, any doubt? Should I repeat anything? Because this, I'm going to be using it in process costing. Process costing is completely based on the concept what I'm teaching now. So I'm teaching you now so that process costing you have very less concepts to learn, right? So now let's try understanding what does the theory say. Now if you see guys, what should have happened, 5000 divided by 250, my cost per unit should have been what, 20 rupees, correct? If I am assuming that there was no normal loss, my cost per unit should have been 20. Now my cost per unit became from 21 to 21.73. Why did the cost increase? The law says, or the rule of normal loss says, whenever there is a normal loss, this is a loss that no one can have avoided it. So this loss will be absorbed by the remaining units. In this particular question, what was my remaining units? What was my remaining units in the examples I had told? 230 units. Thanks. The cost of 230 units, instead of becoming 20, it is becoming 21.73, so that the loss of the 20 units is being taken care by 230 units. This is the concept. Did you understand? Now read the theory what it says. Read only the first 4 lines. Are you guys done? Does it make sense what I explained and what has been written? Now let me come to the second case. When it is an abnormal loss, the loss will be charged to costing P&L. The loss will be charged to what? Costing P&L. Are you clear? Now let me use the same formula. What is my cost per unit? What is the total cost of the raw material? Is there any normal value of the scrap value of the normal loss? What should have been my total output? What is my normal loss? Guys, read the question. I am assuming that the loss of 20 units is abnormal. I'm assuming that the loss of 20 units is abnormal. Sorry, I think I didn't. So what is my normal loss? 0. Therefore, what is my cost per unit? 20. What is the amount of abnormal loss? What is the amount of abnormal loss? The amount of abnormal loss is basically 20 units into cost per unit, which is 20 into 20, 400. This will be charged to Are you guys clear? Done. Let me give you another example. 250 units produced, sorry, 1 kg 10 rupees, 2 kgs to produce 1 unit, right? 500 kg of raw materials were consumed, 230 units were produced, produced 4% of the input is normal loss. Okay, calculate cost per unit. I'll give you guys 2 minutes, solve it. The question is here, solve it. Okay, let me see whether you guys all did the same way what I was doing. 500 kgs should have given me an output of how much? It should have given me an output of 250 units, right? 4% is a normal loss. What is 4% of 500 kgs? Guys, wait. What is 4%? 20. So I have a 480 kgs. With 480 kgs, how many units can I produce? 240. But how many did I actually produce? 230. Now let me define the definition of normal loss and an abnormal loss. A normal loss is a loss which has happened during the course of production which cannot be avoided, right? In this case, how many units was my normal loss? 10 units. Any loss over and above my normal loss is called as abnormal loss. Any loss over and above my normal loss is called as what? Abnormal loss. So how do I find my abnormal loss? What is my total loss? My total loss is 20 units, out of which normal loss is 10 units. Therefore, what becomes my abnormal loss? Everyone understood this part? Correct? No, friends? Clear? No? No problem? No? Can we go further? No? Now see here. Let me go to my cost per unit formula. What is my total cost? What is my total cost? 5,000. Is there any scrap value for the normal loss? 0. What should have been my total output? 250. What is my cost? What is my normal loss? 10. Therefore, cost per unit will be what? 5,000 divided by 240. Suresh sir, calculator. How much, sir? Correct, 20.8333. Now, next question. What is the amount to be transferred to costing P&L? What did I say? Whatever is the number of units, you will be transferring it them at the cost of the regular thing. What is my abnormal loss? 10 units. What is my cost per unit? Therefore, how much should you transfer to costing P&L? 208 point. Everyone understood, da? Easy. Super easy. So I'm the best teacher. Huh? See, now I don't get any response. Cha, it's okay. Let's get into the. Depends. They would give it to you, but always we define loss based on the percentage of normal loss, Pratham, of input only. Generally, they give you a percentage of input only because input is where the loss happens. Okay, sir. Okay, done. So I got so dejected after taking class on a Sunday when I asked, so I am your best teacher, no one responded. Disappointment. It's okay. We'll start doing the next topic. Let's try looking into this question. Guys, read the question. The following data relate to the manufacturing during the 4-week ended 21 raw materials consumed, direct wages, machine hours work, machine hour rate, office hour works, cost, selling and distribution. Chiller question, no? Easy question, no? Cost sheet, yesterday's question, continuation, same thing. Guys, read the question fast. Farin is super fast. Others, read fast. Once done, please let me know. Okay, first thing, I have raw material consumed plus direct wages. What do I call this as? Priyanka Chopra, prime cost. Correct? Why is this required? Why is these two information required? Correct. This is required for the purpose of. So what is factory overheads? 3200 into 40. Correct. Then I got my works cost. They are telling administration cost is 10% of the works cost. So whatever is 10% of it, take it. Then that gives me COGS. Then add your selling and distribution overheads. Selling and distribution, they said is 20 per unit. So just multiply with 20 per unit. We'll get the total cost of sales minus the selling price. That's going to give you your profit. Easy question, no? See, Sunday 1 hour sitting in class, how much difference you have got, become Gyani. That's why you should sit more Sunday classes. Sunday your brain is fresh, so you can take more. Okay, let's try looking into the next question. Atharva Pharmacare Limited produced a uniform type of a product and has a manufacturing capacity of 3000 units of per week of 44 hours. Why uniform is required? Because the moment you say uniform, that means I know you have to follow unit costing. Unit costing clearly means what? Identical products. From the records, the following data are available relating to the output and the cost of 3 consecutive weeks. So they have given me a data of 3 consecutive weeks. How many units they manufactured? What is the direct material cost? What is the direct wages? What is the factory overheads? Assuming that the company charges a profit of selling price of 20% of the selling price, find out the selling price per unit when the weekly output is 2000 units. Now I have crazy things here. What are the crazy things? Right? I have to identify whether the costs are fixed, variable or semi-variable in nature. Did you understand? I have to find out whether the costs are fixed, variable or semi-variable in nature. How do I find it? Okay. When you divide the cost with the number of units, if you get your per unit cost as constant, then I tell them to be a variable cost. Understood? What should happen? Your per unit cost should become what? Constant. When you do this, what do you get? What do you get per unit cost in all the 3 cases? Shreyas, thank you. All the 3 cases it is 7.5 per unit. A variable cost is a cost which is constant. A variable cost is a cost which is constant for every level of unit, every level of output. So for every level of output, the fixed cost per unit, the variable cost per unit is going to be constant. Therefore, I know whether I am producing 1000 units or 1200 units or 2000 units, my direct material cost will be 2000. Are you clear, Samina? Done? Do it with wages. How much do you get per unit cost? All the 3 cases 3. Therefore, labor cost is also done with both. Let me come to the third cost, factory overheads. Now, if you see the factory overheads, what are you getting your per unit cost to be? What are you getting your per unit cost to be? Case 1, different in all the 3 cases. When it is different in all the 3 cases, Amoda, that means it is definitely not a variable cost. Second thing, the moment it's not a variable cost, I check is it a fixed cost. How do I check is it a fixed cost? I check it, is it a fixed cost when it is constant in all the three cases. Constant in total in all the three cases. Is it constant in all the three cases? Therefore, it is not even a fixed cost. Now, whenever it's a semi-variable cost, I try using this formula. What is the formula is variable cost. This is only for the semi-variable. Madam, when it is variable, no madam. When it is constant per unit, madam. Fine, madam. So, if you see direct measures, in all the three cases, it comes to 7.5. When it comes to direct direct material, it's 7.5 in all the three. In direct wages, it is 3 in all the three cases. Whereas factory overhead is giving different answer for different cases. That means definitely it is not variable cost. Then comes the fixed cost. When can it be a fixed cost? When it is constant in all the three cases. Is it constant in total in all the three cases? The answer is no. When it is no, that means it's not a fixed cost. So, when it is not a fixed cost nor a variable cost, then I have the third category to save me up, that is called as what? Semi variable cost. That is, it has a component of both fixed and variable into it. Are you clear? Is everyone clear? Samina, are you there? Not there? Done. Now, whenever it is a semi variable cost, it becomes important for me to find out a variable cost and a fixed cost into it. So, there are different methods what are there, but for your CA curriculum, we are okay if you guys can use a high-low method. Now, what is this high-low method or any of the methods? Just forget what the methods is. Let's try looking into the formula and the concept behind it. I say a high-low method or a semi-variable cost differentiation method. What I do is, first thing I try finding the variable cost. Why do I find the variable cost? Because I know a variable cost is a cost which is going to be changing as and when there is a change in the output. So, my variable cost is equal to change in the total cost divided by change in the units. So, what you can do, you can take two levels, whichever two levels of output you want. Which two you want to take? Manu, which two units of production you want to take? Which two units of production? So, Manu does not want to answer, he is angry on me. So, I will take 1200 units and 1600 units. 2 units, 2 manufacturing units I will take. Are you clear? Variable cost is found out by what? Change in the total cost divided by change in the units. So, let me do this. What is the change in the cost? How much has the cost changed, Naveen? So, my change in the total cost is 2000 as per Naveen. How many units have changed between 1200 to correct 400? Therefore, what is my variable cost per unit? First point of the answer done. Second point, we know that, who's that we? Don't know, but we still say we know that. We know that total cost is equal to fixed cost plus variable cost. Correct? No? We, correct Naveen, that we only. Total cost is equal to fixed cost plus variable cost. Let me take for 1600 units. This one. Let me take it for this and this. Now, see here, what are you doing, Niarya? See here, I will take this 1600. So, now if I try applying it in the formula, total cost is 33,000 fixed cost I don't know X plus variable cost is 5 per unit multiply by total units, that is 1600. Guys, correct, right? The total variable cost will be what? Variable cost into the number of units. Yes or no? So my fixed cost will be 33,000 minus 8,000, which will be 25,000. Did you all understand this? But let me check whether this answer holds good. Let me check maybe for 1800 units. For 1800 units, what is going to be my variable cost? 1800 into 5, 9000. Will the fixed cost change? No, it will be 25,000. Therefore, my total cost should be how much? 34,000. Is it 34,000 here? Yes, that means I've got it right. But I'm not concerned about this. What I'm majorly concerned about is to find out the cost of 2000 units. Correct. No, Pratham. So I'm just trying to check whether it works right. So 25 you are getting in both the cases, it's fine. How do I find the total cost of 2000 units? The total cost of 2000 units will be fixed cost plus variable cost. For 2000 units, what is going to be my fixed cost? For 2000 units, what is going to be my fixed cost? Boss, it does not change. Up to 3000 units, it does not change. It will remain 25,000. What about variable cost per unit? Is it going to change? It's going to become 5 per unit for 2000. Therefore, what is going to be my fixed overheads? 25,000 plus 10,000 equal to 35,000. Understood? Da? Everyone understood? Now guys, see the solution. Direct material cost 15,000, direct labor cost 6,000. This is going to give me my prime cost plus the factory overheads 35,000. So I get a total cost of 56. They are telling me the profit is 25% of the cost. So on this cost apply 25%. That becomes my total sales value. Are you clear? Easy. So the new concept in this question was just the semi-variable cost portion. Okay. Now what is the difference between a unit costing and a identical products, but the only change is when I'm trying to find cost per unit, right? Here I find cost per unit is equal to total cost divided by the number of units. Here it will be total cost divided by the number of batches. total cost divided by what? Number of batches. Are you clear? Now what is this number of batches? Let me try understanding an example. When you would have seen, have you ever tried taking a medicine and tried checking behind, it says batch number? If you ever, next time you are seeing a medicine, you see behind it, it says batch number 120, batch number 130. What does it mean? See, whenever medicines are produced, right, medicines are not produced in singular. They are always produced in a batch of hundreds. They are produced in a batch of hundreds. So they put in all the raw materials, everything. 100 raw medicines in 10 strips of 10 each. So if you open a medical shop, you would see there would be one box will have 10 strips, each strip will have 10 tablets. So basically they would have 100 tablet, right? So when I put in all the medicines, I try looking into the number of batches that I can produce. Okay, let's say I am spending 15,000 and I can produce 10 batches. What is the cost per batch? Spending 15,000. Fareen, kya matu? Calculator. Don't do calculator mistakes. Concept mistakes, we are there. Calculator mistakes, we can't help you, ma. 15,000, you are trying to produce 10 batches. How much will be your cost per batch? 1,500. If each batch, let's say, has 20 units, what is the cost per unit? If each batch has 20 units, what is your cost per unit? So the basic difference what you guys have to understand here is, what I'm trying to find is the cost per batch. From the cost per batch, I'll have the number of units which are going to be there. So I'll take the number of units from there and I'll try finding the cost per unit. That is the major difference between both of them. Did you understand? Especially in case of medical and other things, we always are going to be producing in batches. Pratham understood, so I assume everyone understood. Okay, let me try understanding through an example so that it becomes easier for us. Arnav Confectionaries, next question. Everyone read this question. Everyone's done? So you know how to solve it? So let's try looking into this now. See, let's try understanding through a very basic terms. What are they saying? Arnav Confectionaries owns a bakery which is used to make bakery items like pastries, cakes, blah blah blah. AC used to bake at least 50 units of any item at a time. The customer has given order for 600 muffins. So what is he saying? Boss, every time I am producing, I will produce 50 units at a time, not one cupcake at a time, but I produce what? 500 units at a time. When I am producing 500 units at a time, what I have to understand is, what if I want to make 600 muffins, what amount, right? What is the number of times that I need to produce, right? Tell me, how many times will you produce then? How many times are you going to be producing? Correct. So the number of batches I'll be producing is 600 muffins, each batch is 50, that I'll make 12 batches. Everyone understood this? 1 mark done. Sir, so easy to get 1 mark? Yes sir, so easy only to get 1 mark when you know the concept. Done? Now next part of the question. To process a batch of 50 muffins, the following cost would be incurred: direct material 500, direct wages 50, oven setup cost 150. Now, where does this have an impact is what I have to understand. Your direct material cost is how much? 500 per batch. So, how many batches are you doing? Correct? So, it is going to be material cost will be 500 into 12. Yes or no? Direct wages again 50 into 12. Oven setup cost also per time 12. Done. So, my total prime cost will be how much? 6,000. Then here it is going to be 600, 1,800. So, total will be 6,600. $8,400 becomes my prime cost. Done. ABC absorbs overhead at a rate of 20% of direct wages cost. Guys, tell me what is going to be your factory overheads? I have thought this, it's going to be 20% of the direct wages cost. What's going to be your factory overheads? Whenever they say 20% of direct wages, in this case they did not give me machine hours or labor hours. They said it's going to be directly 20% of your wage cost. My wage cost is 600. 600 ka 20% will become 120. Whoever got it right, super. So, what is my factory cost? My factory or the production cost is 8520. Anyone, any doubt? That is adding up all the 4. Easy na? Then they are saying 10% of the production cost is gonna be for selling, distribution and administration. My production cost is what? 8520. 10% I am going to be adding it towards my selling and distribution and administration cost. Therefore, my total cost becomes 9372. Now, they are saying that they want to, guys, this is something I need you to understand. This is something new. See here, they require a profit margin of 25% of the sales value. See here, 9372 is the cost price. Yes or no? All the questions till now, they said they want you to have 25% of the cost. What were you doing it? You are just taking 25% of 9372. How much does it come to? 25% of 9372. 2343. That would have become my selling price. That is 9372 plus 2343. But first time I am encountering this. They want your profit margin to be 25% of the sales value. Guys, new concept. They want your profit to be how much? 25% of the sales value. Are you clear? Done? No, wait. Naveen, wait. Once I teach, you will see. Suresh knows it. CPT student or CA foundation student. So, I have covered it for them. Others look into it. Whenever they give you 25% of the sales value, logic is simple. Do this cost, profit and sales. Whenever they say, guys, I understand, please follow this method because it's going to help you guys in the future. I don't do anything for the current, it's all for the future. Look into it. Whenever they say profit is on sales, consider your sales price to be 100. Consider your sales price to be what? 100. Therefore, what is your profit? Naveen, what's your profit? 25% of the selling price, right? And I know cost plus profit is equal to selling price, yes or no? Cost plus profit is equal to my selling price. Therefore, what is going to be my cost, Naveen? Correct. My cost will be 75. Understood, da? Understood, Guru? Now, see, my cost of the product is 9372. So, I will go and write under the cost column 9372. Okay. I will do a cross multiplication between these two. How do I do cross multiplication? 9372 into 25 divided by 75. How much does it come to? 3124. This plus this will be equal to my selling price. So, how much is my selling price? No, ma. Farin, please don't do unnecessary things. What I am doing, just please follow it. Understood, everyone? We'll do 2 more questions and we'll end the chapter. You guys have more questions to do it back home. Okay. Now, what are they saying? A job factory has undertaken to supply 200 units of a component per month for ensuing 6 months. So, that means total how many? 1200 pieces. Every month a batch order is opened against materials are booked at actual. Overheads are per labor hour. So, I know overheads has to be calculated by doing what? Multiplying the labor hour. Selling price contracted is for 8 per piece. From the following, calculate the cost and profit per piece of each batch overall. Okay. Guys, now simple thing. Let's try understanding. I know per batch this is what it is. Right? My each batch has an output different 200, 210. What is the selling price? Guys, what's no, that's the number of units, Pratham. I said what is the selling price? They want you to calculate if I order 1200 pieces, what is going to be the cost they want you to calculate. So, I know at different month, different outputs are there. For each unit, how much can you sell it for? 8 rupees. Yes or no? So, first thing I am going to do is, I am going to, what I am going to do is, see here, first thing I'll do is I'll multiply each of the units into the selling price, that is multiply each of them by 8. When I do this, will I get the total sales? Do I get the total sales? Right? Once I get my total sales, the next part of it, what I do is, I reduce it from my direct expenses. Which are the direct expenses which are there? Here itself, if you see the question, which are the direct expenses which I have? I have two expenses, which is basically my material cost and my direct wages, right? So what I do, see here, from my sales output, that is what I have got by multiplying what I get by multiplying the 800 rupees, I reduce my direct material cost and direct wages. Now, what is going to be my overheads? This is very, very important. They have told me that overheads are going to be calculated based on what? Guys, what did they tell regarding the overheads? How are they going to be calculating the overheads? Overheads are going to be calculated based on the labor hours, right? Now I have to find out the labor hour rate per hour. Now how can I find out my labor hour rate per hour? We have learnt it in the overheads chapter that overheads is basically based on yes or no? And I know my budgeted base is labor hour. So I have to find my budgeted overheads. They have clearly given me that the chargeable expenses are this. Are you clear? So now for everything, divide this with this. How much do you get for the first one? What is your labor overhead absorption per hour? For the first one, Pratham, 2.5. Second one, third one, fourth one, fifth one, sixth one. So once I know my rate, right, I will multiply with the respective labor hours of that particular month. Are you clear? So I will take this and multiply with each of this. So I end up getting my chargeable expense. Did you understand this? Overheads chapter, I have spent enough time on this. If you have any doubt, please let me know. Reading every day will save you 6 months. So my chargeable expenses become this much. That is multiplying here 200 into 2.240 into 2.5, 280 into 2.4. I'll end up getting this expenses. So I'll get my total cost minus total sales value. That is going to give me my profit. Are you clear? Done. Now, once you know what is the profit per batch, can I find profit per unit? Yes. How? Because I know the number of units, so divide it with the number of units. So for the first one, it's going to be 310 divided by 210. For the second one, it will be 148 divided by 200. Like this, you will find out the profit per unit. Is everyone clear? Okay. Is the answer complete? Read the question carefully. Is the answer complete? Why, Amoda? Why are you saying that the answer is not complete? Okay, correct. We have to find the cost for 1200 units. But if you see, when I do the total number of units are 1230. Okay, so what I do, I take the average cost, what is there, this 9025 is for 1230 units, right. I will find the cost per unit by dividing 9025 divided by 1230. So that is going to give me a cost of 7.34 per unit. I know per unit selling price is 8. So 1200 into 8 becomes my sales value, that is 9600 less 1200 into 7.34 becomes my cost value, which is 8808. Are you all clear? Okay. Now the next concept is called EBQ. Do you remember what was EOQ? Do you remember the formula EOQ? What was the formula of what was the formula of correct EOQ? 2AO by C, square root of 2AO by C. For the same thing, when we are saying the batch quantity, what we are talking of is what is going to be the economic batch size that I should be doing my production for. What should be the batch size at which I should be doing my production for. So you can use the same 2AO by C, or there is also another formula which we can use pretty much just to make sure that you guys are understanding. There it was annual consumption, but when we are talking of the number of units to be produced in a batch, we do 2 demand, S is the setup cost divided by the carrying cost. Because when I am trying to do a production, we have a setup cost. Setup cost is basically to set up the entire machine, whatever cost goes into it. So 2 square root of 2 ds. So instead of ordering cost there, here it's going to become a setup cost. Are you clear? So see here, and D, always remember it's going to be annual demand. Now see this particular question. The monthly demand of a product is 500 units. Right. So therefore, am I concerned about monthly demand to find out EBQ? The answer is no. I have to find what? Annual. So I multiply by 12. So my annual demand is what? 6000 units. Cost of setting up a batch is 60. Rate of interest, cost of manufacturing is 20. Rate is 10%. Now rate of interest is required for me to calculate what? My carrying cost, because carrying cost will be what? 20 into 0.1, which will be 2. So now apply it to the formula, you get 600 units. Are you clear? Guys, material cost, EOQ formula, same thing, only difference is there it was annual consumption for batch quantity, here I am going to be using annual demand. There it was carrying cost, here it's going to be setup cost, or else the calculation wise everything is the same. Are you clear? See the next question. KBC Bearings is committed to supply 48,000 units per annum on a steady daily basis. It costs 1 as inventory holding cost as per bearing per month and that the setup cost per run is 3200. Determine the optimum run size for bearing manufacturer. Optimum is what? 2. My annual consumption or demand is 48, 3200. They are saying it cost 1 per month. In a year there are 12 months, therefore it will become 12. So my first answer will be 5060, just straight application of the formula. Are you clear? Second one, what would be the interval between two runs? Okay, now see here, guys, what is my annual consumption? 48,000, correct? And what is my EBQ? What is my EBQ? 5060. So if 48,000 is my annual demand and 5060 is my batch quantity, how many times should I run a batch to complete my production? 9.48, or can I say 10 batches? Are you guys done? So see, what is the question they are asking? Did they say how many batches are you going to be running? Did they say how many batches are you going to be running? The answer is no. They are asking between two batches, what is going to be the time gap? Okay. In a year, I know there are 365 days. Correct? And if you're running 10 batches, that means every 36.5 days you have to run one batch. Right? Therefore, the time interval will be 36.5. Done? Find out the minimum inventory cost. Okay, that's the third question. Now, how do I find out my inventory cost? Okay. Now, every time I'm ordering for what? 5060. Correct? Every time I'm ordering for 5060. Yes. What is going to be my average inventory then? Please remember, average inventory is always calculated by 0 plus EOQ divided by 2. So how much is going to be my average inventory? 0 plus 5060 divided by 2, that is 2030. Are you clear? Sorry, 2530. Thank you. Correct? What is your inventory cost? Inventory cost is 1 rupee per annum or per month? Wait, Naveen, I didn't understand. Wait. Why 0, sir? Naveen, opening inventory is 0, closing inventory is 5060. So average inventory is what? Opening plus closing by 2. Or if you want the other way around. Correct, sir. So you can always do it by 2. If you see all your study material, it will directly have 5060 by 2. Students won't understand why. That's why I'm just telling why it is. Because opening inventory, if it's 5060, the moment it will become closing, it will be 0. Only then you are placing an order. Simply without knowing why you are doing divided by 2, I am telling you logic, so that when you are solving, you do it by 2. Understood, Naveen? Okay. What is my inventory carrying cost? Inventory carrying cost is what? 1 per month. I have to find inventory cost per annum. That means what? This 2530 I have to multiply by 12. How much does it come to? 3060. Are you guys clear? Guys, are you all done? So there are 6 questions of homework, out of which 3 questions are already done in the class. So the remaining 3 is going to be your homework. Please finish it off right away. Thank you.